Leadership. Leadership is one of the most researched and discussed topics in organizational behavior. For example, Google returns a whopping 5.2 billion web pages where leadership is mentioned. Google Scholar lists 5 million journal articles and books with leader or leadership in the title. Amazon? Well, over the past 5 years, Amazon has added an average of 2,500 English language books with leadership in the title. The topic of leadership receives so much attention because we are captivated by the ability of some individuals to influence and motivate a large collective of people beyond expectations. Now, when lecturing on leadership, the two most frequent questions I received are, do I have what it takes to be a leader? And the second question is, are the people I know in leadership positions doing the right things? My academic preference is in applied research. I emphasize leader traits and behavior. And for this reason, I encourage you to get a copy of any of Kuse's and Posner's books. They are crammed with examples and stories I know you can use to bring the criteria for being a leader to life. Despite differences in culture, gender, age, and other variables, these personal best stories reveal similar behavior patterns, according to the authors. So the authors discovered that when leaders experience their personal best, they display 5 core practices. Leaders model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and the number 5, encourage the heart. So Jim and Barry called these behaviors the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. And together, these practices provide the basis for the leadership challenge. Now, I love this quote by the authors. Leadership is not about personality. It's about behavior, an observable set of skills and abilities. I ask people all the time, what behaviors do they expect from a good leader? And people want leaders who will help them accomplish their goals by providing training, resources, clarifying a plan or goal, keeping them on task and target, removing roadblocks, holding them accountable. And the second is that leaders treat them with respect by asking for their opinion, giving them a job that matters, helping them when necessary, and giving them the authority to match their accountability. Now, then I ask people to identify someone they think is an effective leader. What makes them effective? Identify or list those individuals first, and then attempt to identify the why specifically you selected each individual. For example, what specific traits and skills did you associate with that particular leader? Traits and behaviors. In my experience, among the traits which might be considered are the following. Every time I ask this question, there's a pattern in their responses. So number 1, they want to see drive. Number 2, leadership motivation. Yes, a leader influences and motivates. A third one I see all the time is integrity, honesty, character, and credibility. And number 4 will be self-confidence and has to do with competence. So the skills will be specific abilities resulting from knowledge, information, practice, and of course, aptitude. Those are powerful indicators of a good leader. Now, let me ask you, do you think men and women differ in their leadership styles? If so, how? I ask this question all the time. Academics is still debating this. Now, the current thinking, mainly influenced by Judy Rosener's study, is that men and women have, yes, somewhat different leadership styles. While men tend to rely more on their formal authority and rewards and punishment, women use their charisma, interpersonal skills, hard work, and personal context. More and more importantly, Rosner suggests that women leaders are more likely to encourage, look at this, participation, share power and information, and enhance other people's self-worth. Even it has been suggested that they are more oriented, women, toward generating a consensus that their male counterparts. Now, do you believe leaders are born or made? This is another question I ask to my students on a seminar, on a workshop, and creates good discussions. Now, you may assert that someone in leadership role will share some common traits and skills. Opinions may vary regarding which of these are acquired or inherited. This is when the discussion becomes alive. Leadership theory generally suggests that leadership outcomes can be optimized, thus implying that the correct answer is that leaders can be made. In conclusion, leadership is a highly sought after and highly valued competence. In the 30 years of my corporate experience, business ownership, and academic endeavors, I have noticed that people have become increasingly captivated by the idea of leadership. Practitioners continue to ask themselves and others what makes good leaders. As individuals, you might seek more information on how to become effective leaders. Many people believe that leadership is a way to improve their personal, social, and professional lives. Now, corporations now seek those with leadership abilities because they think they bring unique assets to their organizations and ultimately improve the bottom line. So there are many ways to finish the sentence leadership is. This is a good exercise. I ask people to write or to complete the sentence. Leadership is the following, right? In fact, leadership research reveals that there are almost as many different definitions of leadership as there are people who have tried to define it. I prefer Peter Nordhaus's definition. Leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Now, collectively, the research findings on leadership from all these areas provide a picture of a process that is far more sophisticated and complex than the often simplistic view presented in some of the popular books on leadership I have seen around. Now, leadership involves influence. It concerns how the leader affects followers and the communication between leaders and followers. Influence is the essential condition of leadership. Without influence, leadership does not exist. In my seminars, I present leadership as a complex process, having multiple dimensions, an in-depth description and application of many different approaches to leadership. My emphasis is on how theory can inform the practice of leadership, building on the principle that there is nothing more practical than a good theory. I deal with leadership theory as a mindset to inform practice. I call this mindset a theory of action because leaders today deal often with complex situations that change dynamically, and their ability to reflect on their action to improve their theory in use is a critical component to improve effectiveness. Are you ready to jumpstart your leadership?